Hi, it's Beth with Live Good, Live Well. A friend pointed out something today that I didn't really think much of, but it made an impression on her, so I wanted to do a quick video on the history and the reasoning for it and how it works out for us. And I apologize for the glare, but these are blue light blocking glasses if anybody needs some. I had LASIK a few years ago and don't need actual prescription glasses, but wear the blue light blocking ones. But I don't know how to get rid of the glare on them, so it is what it is. A friend pointed out something to me. We do video chats back and forth on an app called Marco Polo, and I had mentioned, I guess in a previous one, about childcare costs, and it's something that we share in my relationship with my fiance and I, and it's something that we have shared from pretty much early on since we started dating and I moved in with them. And I didn't really think much of it. I just felt like it was the right thing to do, and so I did it without. I mean, it wasn't a process or a decision to be made. It just was. I met her and knew that she was a mom, and I mean, it feels like it would be half-assed or half in, half out. Like, I'm in a relationship with you, but not with him. And when you enter into a relationship, it's a package deal with not only that person, but also their family, whether it's their kids or their parents or their dogs or their weird cousins or their friends or whoever it is, their job. It's easy to say we'll keep this separate, but that's in my opinion, that's not right, and it shouldn't be that way. Not to say that we shouldn't be individuals and keep our independence in a lot of ways, but when it comes to raising a kid together, it would be very unfair if I were to just say, you know what, I'm going to live here, and I'll help where I feel like helping, but I'm not going to help pay for stuff, and I'm not going to help, get him to school or get him dressed or, do the more mundane daily task. I'll be here for the fun stuff, but not every day. That just doesn't feel right, and it doesn't. How would that make her feel? That just doesn't feel complete and whole and committed and dedicated and loving. At the bottom of that, love is an action more than a lot of feelings. Like, there are feelings that come with it, but acts of love are, we show people that we love them. If we tell somebody that, but then we don't follow up with actions and intention and those things, then what does that mean? What does that carry? So very early on, the way that we do our finances is we have a shared account, and we have our separate individual accounts. And so we put a set amount into our shared account each month for household expenses, for our kiddo, for the dogs, things like that, insurance, groceries, what have you. And then we still maintain our own money separate from that too, and that seems to work really well. So things that we pay for together are paid for. There's money allocated, budgeted, set aside for it. It works quite well, and then we each have our own money too, and we'll do that with savings as well. So we'll have what I would call hers and her savings, and then our savings. And we're setting that up in just a few weeks when we get married, so she can do one with her name change and all of that. And I just feel like that's the best approach forward, because in the best practice, like, we don't fight about money. We never have. We don't fight about much, but if anything, I don't think we've ever had a fight. I mean, we've had some disagreements and things, but not a proper fight for sure. And that makes it very easy, because like, she pays her car payment out of her account, for example, and I pay mine out of my account. It makes those things just non-issues, and it prevents a lot of what could be tension or stress. And I think that's where a lot of couples go into problematic situations, because they, one might be a wild spender and one might be a wild saver. or vice versa. And at the end of the day, like if you've got one person in the relationships that values saving a lot of money over one that spends a lot, then you shouldn't have the same account, because it's always going to be a fight. The saver is always going to be looking at, well, he or she got another coffee again today after we talked about making coffee at home to save $6 a day. Or, I didn't think she was going to go shopping and spend $300 on shoes and purses again, but she did it again anyway. Like, if you're making your own money and have your own income, or if there's only one income earner and you have, say, one income and then a budget allocated to, standard bills, things like that, make sure all the responsibilities are paid for, and then the other person gets, call it an allowance for lack of a better term. What does it matter what that person spends their money on, as long as they're, not going broke and asking for like more money because they blew whatever it is. Like, so set each other up for success and not for failure, is what this boils down to. And I got that concept from Tom and Lisa Bilyeu of relationship theory and impact theory and health theory, that crew. He's the founder of Quest Nutrition, and now he's focusing on impact theory. And that really resonates through a lot of things, because if you love somebody, of course set them up for success. Like, work with their strengths and weaknesses, not against them. If you know that someone has a hard time saving, and if they have $50, they're going to spend $50, then, put 20 of that into savings and then give them 30, whatever the scenario is. That way they're not in a pickle, you're not in a pickle. The relationship doesn't get into a situation of we don't have money for rent, because you've got, savings built up and set aside. So you want to set success up on a routine basis. And so most payroll systems and most companies that do their payroll, you can set up a specific amount of your check each time to go to a savings account and to a shared account, or and then the rest to your traditional savings or checking account, whatever it goes into. So right now, and I've done this for a couple of years, I just have a set amount, and I started small, like $25 a paycheck or something like that, and then I worked up to a bit more. I just have it go into a separate account, and that way, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Like, I use it for more emergency or bigger purchase situations, but and then I build it back up, and so it's set aside. But at the same time, like, you want to do that both for yourself and then both for your family. Like, college funds and kids savings is something that I've got to start thinking about, because we don't want Trevor to get into a situation where he's graduating high school with like no money. Like, that's not fair to me. Whether it's a Coverdell account or just a savings account with a couple $1,000s in there, just for a starter fund. Like, if he wants to go backpack through Europe for a year, or get his own apartment, or start his own business, or like whatever he wants to do. And I borrowed that idea from a friend that I met last year in California. She's done that. She and her husband have done that for her kids. They call it, I think, a starter fund, and they just give them like, a few $1,000s that they've saved up over the years to do what they want. If they want to take a year off, then they can do that. And it's not a large amount of money, but it's enough to give them a nice cushion. And I just think that's really cool, because like, graduating high school is a scary thing, because then you're out in the world and you're out of the system that you've known for 12, 13 years of your life, and you're expected to be an adult and to get a job and to get your own place. Like, there's all of these expectations, and like, with what preparation? School doesn't prepare you to go out and be an adult and do life. It teaches you like more theoretical and things. Like, you don't learn how to get a job in school. You don't learn how to do your taxes or things like that. You don't learn how to meal plan, or find a place to live or budget. Like, so I just think that that's a scary time for a lot of people. And there's a lot of resources now. The internet has unlimited resources, literally infinite resources are out there, both on from business opportunities to finding jobs to education and etc. And anyway, I digress a little bit, but the point of this is all to set each other up for success and set everyone around you up for success and not failure. And if you're going to set people up for failure, why are you doing that? It might be a situation of giving somebody a safe place to fail and learn from, but you generally want to approach things with loving kindness and set people up for success in big and small situations. And this is something I struggle with, and as a relatively new parent, I'm just over a year into this, and I think a lot of times, like, the getting ready process in the morning is like very frustrating, but at the end of the day, like, he's a kid, and he still needs like a safe place to fail and to be late if he needs to be late, if he needs to learn that on his own, and to learn all of these other things. And now we're in a place of he's learning about money, and he's learning the value of money and what it's like to have money, and we're starting to think about, well, what chores can he do and earn an allowance for, or earn money for. Maybe it's a few dollars a week, but that's a big deal when you're 9 years old and you don't get money, outside of like your birthday or special occasions like that. And I just think that's a really cool thing to teach kids. And it just kind of plants the seed at a very basic level. He's not at a point of running an online business or starting. He's not the type of kid that's going to go out and mow yards for money. That's just not him. And so we have to show him other ways and work with him on, hey, I can earn money for doing these things, for putting my clothes in the laundry basket all week, or for making my own lunch this week, or I want to start small. I want to start with him, with his own needs, and picking up after himself and doing things for himself without argument and complaint. That's a big thing for me. And then expand out to feeding the dogs and doing the dishes and folding, all of the laundry or whatever, sweeping the floor, doing. So I want to start, with himself. So put your own oxygen mask on first. So take care of yourself first, and then expand out into, okay, now I have this under control and this is good, so now I can start doing things for others in the household and things like that. And that's my approach, and kind of my way of thinking on it. And I think we'll get to probably a small list of chores that he can do and earn $1 a week for them or something like that, $5 if he does all of them, whatever the case is. But I think that's good to teach kids, and then he can learn to save some, and he can spend some. And I think having like bucketized, if you save this much, if you have something to pay for that's this much, then you can spend the rest with, sort of guilt-free. You can also always save more, but you can also like kind of splurge too and have nice things, which is a big deal to me. So anyway, going back to our approach into our relationship, that was just something that I came into this with because I didn't feel any other way was right. Brandi Carlile is a big topic today. I'm sure a lot of you saw her on the Grammys last night perform The Joke, and that is so well deserved for her. The three awards that she and the twins won, because she's been at this since she was a teenager, and she quit school, and she came out when she was 15 years old, and that was 20 something years ago. That wasn't a time to be coming out and be okay. Like, it's far more accepted now. It's because of her, people like her and Ellen and all of these leaders. But I digress, because she has never had a quote unquote real job. She started writing songs and singing as a teenager, and then she would busk at the Pike Place Market in Seattle, and she would go to all these bars and clubs around Seattle and get them gigs, and she would sing, and she would just, that was what she always knew, that she didn't want to do anything else. And so she followed her passion and her gift and her talent and her focus, and I'm sure it wasn't always easy. But when she met the twins, everything kind of fell together. She promised them to get a record deal within a year if they would play with her, and look at them now. and but she set that up then. And I think that if we do that for a lot of things, and we just forward think and focus on things, and keep taking the steps on our path, whether it's doing what you want in the world of music or art or your career or whatever the case is, or financially, like setting yourself up with money. To tie those two stories together, I came into the relationship with Tosca and Trevor not knowing anything else, or knowing that anything else wasn't an option. So I didn't think it was a big deal. I just knew that, kids are not free, and if I'm going to be in this relationship with them, then I'm going to share the responsibility. And so I started that from day one. And I guess I know that other people don't do that, but I can't understand why, and I don't really think about it. But when my friend pointed that out, I thought, wow, like why wouldn't that be? Why wouldn't you share responsibilities? And whether there's another parent involved, whether it's their biological or a previous step parent or something involved, like why would you not want to share that privilege of being a parent? And the privilege doesn't always look like a privilege. It oftentimes looks like a burden, but at the end of the day, I get to provide bread and peanut butter and honey and shoes and pants and childcare for this kid. And he has no idea. Kids don't know that things cost as much as they do, but that's not on them right now. And he's going to look back, hopefully, in several years, and look back and think, wow, like she came in and really just stepped in. And that's what a step parent is and does. It's the parent that steps up or steps in and takes care of stuff when they don't have to. But to me, there was never an option or a choice. I was either in or out. It wasn't I don't know. It was in or out. It was black or white. There were no 50 Shades of Grey here. So anytime it comes up that he needs to go to the doctor or he needs medicine, we got now we know it was an erroneous note from the insurance company at the end of the year saying that his medication was no longer going to be covered by insurance this year, and it was going to be like $382 for a month for his medication, up from $25. That's a big deal. That's a car payment. And so we went to the doctor and got him on different medication. That's now like $7 a month with insurance, thankfully. But that wasn't something that was just on Tosca. We were both figuring that out. I was thinking okay, well, what other jobs can I do? What other side work can I do for, a few hundred extra writings can I do? How many more clients can I get, to help offset this cost? What other income can I bring in? And then we'd put things into place, like we got an espresso machine for $150 at Target. It was a big expense up front, but it's paid for itself in a month and a half or two. Instead of getting lattes at Starbucks every day for $6 a day, and if we both go, it's like $12 or $13 a day. That adds up in 10 days to like $150, about 2 weeks. And the cost of coffee, if you get it at Target or Whole Foods, is pretty inexpensive by comparison. A bag of coffee is like 2 drinks. And then cream and sugar, pretty inexpensive too. So this thing paid for itself in 2 months. But we put that into place to have a longer term solution to save us, say $6 times 30, that's $180 a month. Times 2, 360. There's our almost $400 a month when we're getting coffees out every day. So now we make it at home a lot more, and we save $300 a month, I bet. And that makes a material difference to most people. And so things like that, we just, we thought about And there was some other subscription I was getting or I was paying for, and I thought, well, I'm not doing this anymore. We changed our cable. We had signed up for some sports package so you could watch football, but I actually never watched it, and so we cut that out, and it was like $25 a month. So now we're just back to basic, like, internet. So there are all of these things that we were paying for that, they just happen and they just start adding up over time. And then when you look at your expenses, you're like, what the hell am I spending this money on? Cable is another big one. Eating out. It's $50 for us to eat a meal out together. And that's crazy. I could buy us groceries for a week for that. I could get like meat and produce and stuff for like a week at Whole Foods for us for a week. And so we just start like making smarter decisions, and that little stuff adds up. And we're showing Trevor that too. If we don't, we eat out when we need to. Like if we're out, we're not going to come all the way home from like 45 minutes away and make a sandwich and then go back out. That's a waste of gas. But we also like don't say, hey, what do you want for dinner? Let's go to blah blah blah. Very much. Sometimes we do if we want a nice treat or if we don't want to cook, but for the most part, like, we eat at home quite a lot. So anyway, I babble on about that to go back to the point of set each other up for success and not for failure. Don't be selfish. Do the right thing. The right thing is always the right thing. And the right thing is not always the easy thing. I could have easily said, you know what, I'll pay half of the household bills, but all of his expenses are on you. And you know what the result of that would be? She would always be stressed about money. And that's not fair when there are two of us in this. And, that's something I don't really think a lot about because it's not an issue for us, but it's something I'm very passionate about, of people in relationships. Like, if you would like relationship coaching, I would love to dive into this with you. If there's a challenge with either your primary relationship or your familial or friends or family or work relationships, if you think something is going on that's unfair or imbalanced or makes you unhappy or makes you feel unvalued or any of those things, I would love to talk about this with you and kind of deep dive into what's going on and what's the reason for it and what can we do about it and what solutions can we come up with. And, we have a pretty solid communication system between us. We talk about most things in the moment, and it's a non-issue. And talking about things in the moment is much easier than letting things bubble up and fester and, stuffing things down that come out months later. And like, what the hell? Like, where'd that come from? I thought that was old and gone. And, it's much healthier to just kind of take care of things in the present. So, anyway, this is Beth with Live Good, Live Well. I've got to run out and get some lunch, and I look forward to talking to you soon. You can find me online at livegoodlivewell.com. You can find my podcast, the Live Good, Live Well podcast, on whatever app you listen to podcasts on. I do mine through Anchor, and they've just been recently acquired into Spotify, so that should be really cool. And it's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, I think, Podbean, I don't know, wherever podcasts are, that's where I am. Alright, Beth, live good, live well, cheerio.